Hi, my name's Alex. I run most of Redgate's professional services, and in the work that I do, it is my job to help people get up and running with Redgate products. I've written a script that I think is going to be useful for quite a lot of people. What it does is it looks at a database and it looks for any missing foreign key relationships, and it tells you what they are. This is really useful in my work because I work with a product that is designed to subset data. It pulls a subset of data from a large database and creates you a small consistent subset of that data. And the way that it works is it uses all the foreign keys in the database. Where you don't have foreign keys in the database, there's a way to add them manually. You can kind of create them in a JSON format. But if you don't know where those foreign keys are, that's a pain. So what I wanted to do was create a script that you could just run. It could tell you where all the foreign keys are. Probably it's going to have a decent guess, and it does that by looking at kind of names of columns and pattern matching and stuff, looking at all the kind of telltale signs that this is supposed to be a foreign key. And then it's going to generate the JSON for you so that you can use the Redgate Test Data Manager project to subset that data. All of the scripts are available on my GitHub. So this is my Redgate personal GitHub account, gist.github.com. The three scripts we're going to look at today are list all foreign keys and drop all foreign keys, which are just useful for doing a little bit of admin, but this is the main one, fk-my-db. This is a script, the meaty one, that is going to find all of my foreign keys, tell me where they are. It's going to generate me the SQL I need to add the foreign keys if I don't have them, and it's also going to generate the JSON for me so that I can use the Redgate Test Data Manager product. Let's take a look at running it, and in order to run it, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use another project that I created. It's this TDM Autopilot project. What this does is it gives me a couple of sample databases, and then it runs Test Data Manager on it. But what I'm going to do that's a bit different is I'm going to run this to create my sample databases. I'm then going to manually delete all the foreign keys in those databases and show you how we can still run that, and it still works perfectly fine. So I've already cloned this repo down, and in order to run it I need to run the run autopilot script. I'm just going to accept the default configuration. I do accept the Redgate end user license agreement. I've already got these installed, so I'm just going to click no here. I'm going to skip the installing of the software. I know DDA tools is already installed, so I'm going to skip double checking that. And now I'm going to go to provisioning the databases. So this is going to build my databases for me that I'm going to use for this demonstration. It comes with an autopilot full restore database, which is supposed to be kind of a populated version of a big database, and an autopilot treated database. And this is an empty version of the database. Same schema, no data, and what the Redgate tool is going to do is it's going to pull a subset of the data from the production database into the subset treated version of the database, and it's going to respect all the foreign key relationships so that I get kind of the orders with the correct customers and so on and so forth. So let's take a little look at the data that we've got. If I refresh my databases here, I should see I've got this autopilot full restore and autopilot treated databases. Let's run the first query, which is that list all foreign keys query, and I'm going to run this against full restore, and we'll see that we've got 14 or so foreign keys. I've listed them all out, and I've listed the data types here. Let's delete those. So I'm going to run these against, let's not run that against master, that would probably be bad. Let's run this against autopilot for restore to it's not actually going to delete them in the first go, it's just going to print me the SQL I need to. If I want to actually execute it, I can remove this comment here. Didn't want to accidentally start deleting people's foreign keys without them explicitly uncommenting the very dangerous line. I'm now going to rerun this query again. We'll see that we don't have any foreign keys. If I was to run this against the treated version of the database, remember it's schema identical, we'll see that the identical foreign keys still exist on the treated version, but they don't exist on the full restore version. We can use this to compare to kind of score our work a bit later on. So now let's run fk-my-db. Now there are a few settings in here that I'm going to call out. So by default, it actually by default lists by confidence descending. It looks for all the matches of parent and child keys in the foreign key relationship. It gives them a score, and then above a certain threshold, it includes them. I've actually changed that to alphabetical in this case, just so it's easy to compare kind of before and after. But normally I'd expect people to run it with confidence descending. I've also got this parameter here. This is whether or not you want to generate the JSON file that is used for the Redgate Test Data Manager configuration file. I want to do that in this case, just to demonstrate that it all still works, but you don't have to do that if you're not using Redgate Test Data Manager. So let's run this and see how it does. Let's not run it on master. Let's run it on the autopilot full restore database. So that's how quickly it ran, and here are the foreign keys that it has found. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that we can see more clearly. So we found 12 foreign keys, and from memory there were 14 before. So we've not found all of them, but we've done a pretty good job. So there were 14 before, and there are 12 afterwards. I'll tell you for free the ones that we're missing. The ones that we've not got are this one. This reports to one. Operation employees reports to operation employees employee ID. So this is one where it's a foreign key within the same table, where you've got a list of employees and some of them report to other ones. The main reason, that's not actually the reason we missed it. The reason we missed it is because kind of reports to doesn't really look like anything in this column. And there's another example of that down here. The other one we missed was ship via down here. So ship via goes to shipper ID. The names don't quite match there, so we missed that one. So this script does rely on having reasonably good naming conventions, but 12 out of 14 isn't bad. That's pretty good going, I think. If we take a look at the results from fk-my-db, what we also have here is the script that we need to actually recreate the foreign key. So if I run this in a new query window, and I'll point this at the at my autopilot full restore database. Before I run it, I'll just remind you, if I look at the foreign keys in my full restore database, I currently have none. I can run this query to rebuild the foreign keys, and that's unfortunate that did not work because it screwed up my demo. Why is that not working? There's already a foreign key with that name. What foreign keys we got? We got 5 of them back. Okay, so I'm not sure why that could not create constraint or index. See previous errors. I'm gonna go back and review that error at a later date. But let's just get rid of all those foreign keys again and review. Okay. And let's also get rid of all the foreign keys in the treated version of the database, because now I want to demonstrate how this works with Test Data Manager. Full restore has no foreign keys, and treated has no foreign keys. So I've deleted all the foreign keys from both the source and the target database. The other thing that I got when I ran my original fk-my-db is this down here. This is a JSON that I need to manually add in all of these relationships. So this is a JSON schema version 1, desired size. I just want to have 1% of the data come back. Manual, and here are the manual relationships. I've got, for example, source table. In the logistics schema, we've got employee territories table with an employee ID column that references the operations employee ID column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save it to my to the options file that I use in my TDM Autopilot demo. So TDM Autopilot, setup files, data treatments options files, and if I look for all file types, so this is the options file that Autopilot generally uses, and it is based on the assumption that all the foreign keys exist. What I'm going to do now is override it with my new options file, which is just going to grab 1% of the data using the foreign keys that I found as a reference point. So I'm going to save that. Yes, please. And now, when I carry on with my TDM Autopilot demonstration, given that I have now, based on the normal demonstration, what I've done, based on what TDM Autopilot does, the change that's happened here is I've deleted all the foreign keys from both source and target, and I've used fk-my-db to generate the JSON that I need to tell Subsetter where all the foreign key relationships would be if they existed. So let's carry on. I already have a licensing permit on this file, so I'm going to skip the licensing part. And then here is a query that TDM Autopilot is giving me to allow me to query the data in my database. So I'm just going to open a new query window now. So if I run this against a full restore version of the database, I can see I've got 830 orders, and this is joining a couple of different tables, the orders and the customers table. If I take a look on the other side, and instead of pointing it at full restore, I point it at treated, we should see there's no data here. So in the full restore version of the database over here, I have data. On the treated version of the database over here, I have no data. And what Test Data Manager is going to do is it's going to follow the relationships between the tables, between the customers table and the orders table, and it's going to pull in 1% of the orders and the corresponding customers. For additional context, I've deleted all the foreign keys and I've provided those manually using manual relationships. So let's have a look at what happens when we run this. So this is a command that it wants to run: subsetter run, database engine is SQL Server, source connection string targets, connection string, etc., etc. So let's go ahead and run that. This is running using the subsetter file, options file that we provided. Here are the row counts that it's brought through. So for orders, for example, it's brought in 14 rows out of 830, so that's about 1.5% or so. And if I execute this, then yes, it has indeed pulled through 14 rows, and it's pulled through all of the corresponding customers that go with each one of those orders. So I think that's pretty good. This is a handy way, first of all, this fk-my-db script is a handy way for anybody who doesn't have a clear view of where all the foreign keys are in their database and wants to find out where they are. But also it's great for getting you up and running with a Redgate Test Data Manager trial if what you want to do is subset your database, pull a consistent subset of that data out, and you have the additional challenge that you don't have any foreign keys. I hope that's useful. Yeah, good luck with it.